Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today we're going to be talking all about work-life balance. What does this look like in my life as a full-time entrepreneur and working from home, as well as what did it look like in my life when I was working two jobs, essentially working on the Budget Mom business and, going down to an 8-to-5 job, all at the same time of being a single mom and raising my son. There's a lot that goes on in this conversation, but I think the most important word that we're going to be talking about today is balance. So work-life balance, it's something that we all struggle with. I know in my own life, I've struggled with it. I think for me, my main struggle was finding what that balance looked like for me personally and the boundaries I had to establish in my life to be comfortable and okay with that. So there are a couple of different things that I've learned along my journey. The number one thing is setting healthy boundaries. And boundaries that you set in your personal life is going to look different for everybody. For me, boundaries had to do with how I spent my time and energy. So for me, spending quality time with my son while being a working mom was really, really important. So establishing those boundaries and figuring out my hard no's. So for example, one of my boundaries in my life is Sunday. Sunday is a family day. I make sure that I'm 100% completely present physically and mentally for my family and for my son. Sunday is family only. That is my hard boundary. It's also my hard no. I think also when you're juggling work-life balance, you want to obviously get better in your professional career and life, and you also want to be better as being a mom and a spouse and a daughter or a friend. I had to develop hard no's. And what that looked like for me is saying to myself, I will not miss Christmas with my family and my son. That was one of my hard no's. So it's stepping back and thinking about what the things that are really important, the things that matter to you, and then even working down a list, writing down a list of those boundaries and those hard no's. Another thing that I learned when trying to juggle work-life balance was realizing that it's really hard to be great at something if you're trying to do everything. You can't be a good mom, a good coworker, a good employee, the best friend, the best daughter, the best sister, the best everything all at the same time. So you really have to pick and choose the things that you expend your energy and time on. And for me, that's different every single day. Maybe one day I'm focusing my time on energy on my business. Maybe one day it's focusing my time and energy on the quality time that I'm spending with my son. But you have to, I think, have that mindset and understanding that you can't be great at everything all at the same time. And you really have to pay attention to how you are intentional with your time and energy and make sure that you are really utilizing those resources for the things that matter most to you. Another thing that really helped me as far as work-life balance was making sure that I had a very good, organized schedule and goal set up in my life. Now, I'm a sporadic person. I'm the type of person where I literally think about 10 million different things all at once, and I try doing all of them. I'm also the type of person where when I have a passion for something, it drives me and I don't stop. So it was really hard for me to find that line between pursuing something that I'm so passionate about versus what I really needed to be doing. And that all comes down to your priorities. But also having an organized schedule in my life really helped with finding the time to spend on the things that mattered. So of course, when I was working my 8-to-5 job, that was making sure that my heart and mind were at that job. I was giving 100% of myself to my employer because that's what they paid me to do. When I was here at home, I had to set that boundary of, I leave work at work, 5 o'clock is that cutoff. When I go home, my mind and my attention, my passion is at home. It's on family, it's on my son. So having also that organized schedule, I mean, it's for meal plans and for planning out different activities and planning ahead for different things happening in my life also help reduce a lot of that stress. And I'm going to be showing you my complete organized system for the things that I have as far as my schedule, my meal plan, and all the other types of things that go into that. So the last thing I quickly want to talk about when it comes to work-life balance before I show you the things and resources I've implemented in my life to kind of help with that balance is learning to take care of yourself. So it's hard for me to be the best mom that I can be, or the best partner that I can be, or the best daughter that I can be without first working on myself. So I've kind of learned to embrace self-care in my life. And what that looks like for me is making sure that I have a dedicated time in my planner, in my schedule to do the things that I enjoy. Not as a mom, not as an employee, not as a partner, not as a friend, but as an individual. Embracing those small things and really taking the time and making the conscious effort to spend time on myself is not selfish. It's actually very giving. You need to have that time in your life for yourself in order to do the things that you do best. And so I really had to learn how to embrace that in my life. And for me, like I said, that just means putting it in my planner, making a specific dedicated plan for that time, whether it's going out to lunch with a girlfriend, maybe it's taking 15 minutes in the morning to read a book, finding an hour to work out, but spending and making that conscious effort for myself is really, really, really important. So let me show you some of the different resources and tools I've implemented in my life to help with work-life balance. So to help me with work-life balance, I had to figure out what type of person that I am. And I quickly realized that I'm a list person. Okay, the way that I organize my life is via worksheets and different lists. I go down and I just check them off. So incorporating an organized system to help combat some of that stress. Not only that, I feel like, look, mom guilt is a thing. We feel like sometimes we're sacrificing time with our children, maybe to do work or to do other things that we feel we need to get done. And one of the things that I've embraced in my life is really showing myself grace. Knowing that I'm making these sacrifices now to provide something better in the future. And that's something that I really had to be okay with. Now, everyone's passions, everyone's pursuits are different. For me, my passion is a little bit different, as it's not your normal 8-to-5 job. So helping people with their finances via the budget mom is something that I have incorporated into my everyday life. That's essentially what the budget mom is. And so I have to work around that a little bit more than some other moms out there. But it's really about just giving yourself grace and realize and looking at what you're working towards, whether it be professionally, as a mom, as a partner, whatever. So I want to show you what I have going on now. We're currently in my office. This is my command center. I use this space for a couple of different things. My cleaning schedule. And I have my full cleaning schedule here on YouTube. This is where I write down all of my thoughts. This is basically my brain dump location. My weekly schedule with my son, especially because we've been safe at home and we were doing a lot of his schooling from home. And then my goals. So each thing on this board is a little bit of what we were talking about earlier in the video. Having a dedicated space and organization to each element of your life is going to help combat some of that overwhelm, anxiety, and stress. It also keeps you accountable to the tasks and things you're supposed to be working on, the things that are a priority, the things that matter most to you, the things that you should be exerting the most energy and time on in your day. Having that organized schedule is really, really important. Now, this year was a little bit different with the COVID pandemic. I learned firsthand I am not a teacher, at least not when it comes to my son. I had a lot of stress and anxiety about trying to juggle work and be present with my son when he needed me most. And that was to become really the educator in his life during that time. My solution to that was creating our weekly schedule where we were on task, and it still allowed me to plan time in my day for work. Now, if you're working 8 to 5, or maybe you are at home now because you're not working from your normal location at your day job, then setting up some type of weekly schedule in your life will really help with that. The next thing we're going to look at is my writing desk. Now, I know we talked about having a dedicated plan. Now, I use, and we'll just move my workbook out of the way, I use the Live Rich Planner. This helps with my work-life balance 100%. So it allows me to literally plan out every area of my life. Now, this is my week from the 13th to the 19th, but if we look at my weekly view, this is my weekly view for this week. Remember how I was talking about finding and making sure that you're spending time and energy on the things that make you happy as an individual, being the best version of yourself so you can be the best person for others. Mine looks like this. I block out a dedicated time in my day for myself. And as you can see, most of the time that's working out. So I have a dedicated plan, time set aside to make sure that these things are taken care of. Now, I obviously, I have my cleaning, I have our meal plans, but I have those dedicated spaces in my organized schedule to do those things. Having a planner for me in my life where I can do my brain dumps, where I can organize my schedule, where I can, put the tasks that need to be taken care of, it really does help. And this even has all the different priority tasks that I need to complete every single day. And then, of course, as you guys all know, I also utilize, to help with organizing my life, I use the Budget by Paycheck workbook. And this handles the finance aspect of my life. It's funny, a lot of people, when they think about work-life balance, they don't think about all the things that entails. I like to look at my life as not cut off portions for each thing, like planning, finances, mom, work, partner. For me, those aren't all separated and in their own thing. To me, it's like they have open gates and they leak out into other different areas. They're all commingled. And to be really good at, say, something in your professional life, the habits and skills that you learn there also trickle into other areas that you're wanting to improve your life, maybe finances. You bring those skills and habits that you learn in one area to other areas of your life. And really embracing that. Like for me, when I think about and worry about work-life balance, I don't think, just being a good mom or being a good coworker. I have to think about every other little aspect of my life that comes into it. So those are just some of the things that I implement into my own life to help with work-life balance. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe.